Once upon a time, in a very cold country, there was a snowman, and he stood in the snow and said to himself,
"Oh, it's so delightfully cold. I love this feeling. I also like it when it blows. It's nice and chilly."
Then, looking at the setting sun, he said,
"That great red thing there staring at me, it will not make me wink. I shall manage to keep the pieces."
The pieces were 2 triangular pieces of tile, which some boys had placed as his eyes, a carrot for his nose, and twigs for his arms, which held an old, broken rake, and that completed his look. When the sun went down, the full moon rose large and round and clear, shining in the deep navy sky.
"I like the moon,"
said the snowman.
"It's friendly and cool."
He stared at the moon until he heard a bark. While he was saying this, a dog appeared, wagging its tail at the snowman.
"Woof! Woof! Go away! Go away!"
barked the old yard dog. He had once been an indoor dog that lay by the fire, and his voice had been hoarse ever since.
"The sun will make you run someday. I saw him last winter. He makes snowman run. Away! Away! You have to go!"
"I don't understand you, doggy. Will that thing up in the sky teach me to run? I sure would like to move. If I could, I would slide along on the ice, as I have seen the boys do. But I don't know how. I don't even know how to jump on the spot, let alone walk."
"You know nothing at all. But then you've only lately been patched up. What you see shining in the sky is the moon. But the one before it was the sun. It will come again tomorrow and most likely teach you to run down into the ditch by the well. I can feel it in my bones that the weather is going to change. I'm sure there's going to be a change. You better learn to get away."
"Rufus, get back in here."
"I better go. My master's calling me in. See you tomorrow, if you're still around."
I don't understand him, but I have a feeling that he's talking of something very, very disagreeable. The red one who stared so earlier and whom he calls the sun is not my friend. I can feel that too.
There was indeed a change in the weather. Towards morning, a thick fog covered the whole country, and there was a chilly wind that blew across the land. It was so cold that it seemed to freeze one's bones. But when the sun rose, the sight was splendid. Trees and bushes were covered with frost, and it looked like a forest of white coral, while on every twig glistened frozen dewdrops. Everything glittered and sparkled as if diamond dust had been sprinkled about. The snowy carpet of the earth appeared as if covered with diamonds, from which countless lights gleamed from the reflection of the sun. It was whiter than even the snow itself. A young lady made her way into the snow with a young man.
"This is so beautiful."
They both stood still near the snowman and contemplated the glittering scene. The girl's eyes sparkled and she said,
"Summer never looked as beautiful as this."
Pointing to the snowman, the man replied,
"And we can't have such a fellow as this during summer."
"Yes, we can't, but let it be here for as long as it can."
With that, the girl skipped away with the man. The dog had now made its way to the snowman.
"Who were those two, doggy? You've been here longer than I have. Do you know them?"
"Of course I know them. She has stroked my back many times, and he has given me meat-surrounded bone. I never bite those two."
"But what are they?"
"They are lovers. They will go and live in the same kennel and gnaw at the same bone. Only the bone they eat from has more meat than mine."
"Are they the same kind of beings as you and I?"
"Well, not really, but they belong to the same master, though. They walk kind of funny. I've never seen them on their fours. But they've been around as long as I have. Some people who were born only yesterday know very little. Like you, for example. But I have age and experience. I know everyone in the house. And I know I never did lie out here in the cold, fastened to a chain.
The cold is delightful. I like cold. Tell me, doggy, did you always belong to this house over here?
No, I belong to another. I was a pretty little fellow once. I used to lie in a velvet-covered chair at my master's house and sit in my mistress's lap. They used to kiss my nose and wipe my paws and scratch my belly. Then one day, I bit the leg of my master's son. I didn't do it on purpose. It was an impulse. The little boy, or should I call him brat, was pulling my tail when I was having dinner, and that made them send me away to the housekeeper's room. It's comfortable and keeps me warm, but not as comfortable as my first master's house. My former master visits me once in a while, but not his wife. I think she still hates me for what I did to her son.
Are you always happy to see your former master?
Oh yes, I wag my tail at tremendous speed when I see him.
You must miss him tremendously.
Yes, but I don't mind being with my present master either. He has a stove and I like to go under and lie down beneath it.
Does a stove look beautiful? Is it at all like me?
Like you? It's just the opposite of you. It's as black as a crow and has a long neck and a brass knob. It eats firewood and fire spurts out of its mouth. We should stay next to or under it to be nice and comfortable. You can see it through the window from where you stand, Snowman.
The snowman looked, and from where he stood, he saw in the house a black metal thing with a polished brass knob. Fire was gleaming from the lower part of it. The snowman felt a quite strange sensation come over him. It was very odd. He knew not what it meant, and he could not account for it. But there are people who are not snowmen who understand this sensation he was feeling. He thought to himself that the stove must be of the opposite sex.
She looks quite beautiful from here. She glows. She must keep you comfortable.
Yes, she does, but you shouldn't go near her.
But why not? You're not jealous. Or are you?
Me? Jealous? Oh, please.
Doggy?
You can stop calling me Doggy. We've known each other for a while now. Call me Rufus.
Okay, Rufus. Now, if the stove can make you comfortable, she can make me too.
I'm telling you, Snowman, you won't last 5 minutes standing next to it. Her, whatever.
How could you be so rude, Rufus?
Look, Snowman, we can stand here in the cold and argue all day. But I tell you, inside is not where you want to be. In fact, you should be running away. The clouds are going to clear and the sun will shine through.
The snowman was no longer listening. He was looking into the housekeeper's room, where the stove stood on its 4 iron legs, looking about the same size as the snowman himself.
What a strange crackling feeling I feel within me. I wish I could get in there.
It was an innocent wish, and innocent wishes are sure to be fulfilled.
I must go in there and lean against her, even if I have to break the window.
Break the window? Are you crazy, Snowman? You must never go in there, for if you approach the stove, you'll melt away.
I might as well go. What do I have to lose? I think I'm breaking up as it is.
During the whole day, the snowman stood looking in through the window, and in the twilight the room became still more inviting, for from the stove came a gentle glow, not like the sun or the moon, only the bright light gleaming from the stove, and when the door of the stove was open, the flames darted out of its mouth. This is customary with all stoves. The light of the flames fell directly on the face of the snowman, and that made the snowman's face glow.
I can't just stand here any longer while she's in the house. I must try and get in. She's so beautiful.
The night was long, but did not appear so to the snowman, who stood there enjoying his view in the cold, which he liked so much. In the morning, The window panes of the housekeeper's room were covered with ice. They were the most beautiful ice flowers any snowman could desire, but they concealed the stove. These window panes would not thaw, and he could see nothing of the stove, which he pictured to himself. The snow crackled and the wind whistled around him. It was just the kind of frosty weather a snowman might thoroughly enjoy. But he did not enjoy it. How indeed could he enjoy anything when he was stove sick? The dog Rufus came out again.
This is a terrible disease for a snowman. I have suffered from it myself. I used to like the poodle next door to my former master's house. I still remember her name, though. Her name was Allie.
You were living next door to Allie?
Why, do you know her?
No, I don't, but I'd like to know her.
Forget about the stove, Snowman. You must get out of here soon. This time the clouds are not going to cover the sun. It's going to melt you down. The weather is going to change.
Oh, could you stop calling her the stove? Call her Miss Stove.
Oh, it's no use talking to you. You're not listening.
And the weather did change. It began to thaw, and as the warmth increased, the snowman decreased. He said nothing and did not complain, which was a sure sign of love. He melted slowly but surely, and then by midday the heat was too hot, and he sank down altogether. And behold, where he had stood, something like a broomstick remained, sticking up in the ground. It was the pole around which the boys had built him. The dog looked at it, and with his head tilted to the side, said,
Now I understand why he had such a great longing for the stove. Why, there's the shovel that is used for cleaning out the stove fastened to the pole.
The snowman had a stove scraper in his body, which was used as the skeleton for the boys to build the snowman with. That could be the reason why the snowman had a liking for the stove. The housekeeper walked up to the stove scraper and took it inside the house and placed it next to the stove. The fire was put out, but the stove was still a little warm. On the stove scraper, there was a tiny bit of snow that was part of the snowman. The snowman's wish did come true after all. And nobody thought any more of the snowman.
Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave the lustre of midday to objects below, when what to my wandering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver, so lively and quick I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before wild hurricanes fly when they meet with an obstacle mount to the sky, so up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then, in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my hand and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."